Hello. Welcome to the 8th episode of Born in Quarantine. If you follow me on Twitter, hint hint, you would have known that I could not upload an episode on Tuesday for personal reasons. So instead, today I'm going to upload 2. So stay tuned for the next episode coming this evening. Well, I wanted to do something very classic today, to the nature of Born in Quarantine, stuff that I've got into in the quarantine and would be a good experience. It's Boondock Saints time. Yes, Batman mug is back. Orange juice, going very classic today. Also, I filmed this episode, ran out of battery in the middle of it. So yeah, for the first time my outro, if that worked, this didn't work. If you watch enough movies and consider yourself to be somewhat of a cinephile, you come across movies that you keep watching without really knowing why. For some, it might be the original Mad Max with Mel Gibson, Kung Fu Hustle, Shaolin Soccer, or even The Fifth Element. These are not movies that are considered good by any conventional means. They are riddled with story problems, editing problems, camera problems, acting problems. There are a lot of problems in them. But at the end of the day, you keep going back to them, watching them unironically. Why? Well, that's the phenomena I would love to talk about today because I have the same problem with Boondock Saints. I don't think it's a good movie. It's not a good movie, but it's a movie I keep going back to. Well, let's explore the phenomena. I want to call it the cool movie. What do I call a cool movie? A movie that is bad, but not in a B-movie way. A B-movie is bad and you watch it because it's bad and you laugh at it, you watch it ironically. A cool movie does so many things good enough that you go back to it and watch it unironically. You enjoy watching it. You yell out in excitement when the movie wants you to yell out in excitement. It's an odd thing. Not many movies do that. I mean, I can't say Transformers are cool movies. They are if you're 12. If you're over 12 and you find them cool movies, I am sorry. They are bad movies. They are simply bad. Boring, bad, nothing done right. On the other hand, I wouldn't call The Avengers a cool movie. Because it's not a bad movie, it's a good movie. It has characters, it has a good story, it has good action scenes, it has everything. It's not cool, it's a good movie. A cool movie is this weird mixture in between. A bad story, but who gives a shit about the story? We are here to watch a guy's head explode in a very fun way. Yes, I don't think Scanners is a very good movie. It's a cool movie. So yeah, this is what my brain has come up to at least justify why I keep going back to some of the movies that I know are not good movies, and I don't watch them for the laughter. I watch them because I actually genuinely feel excited watching them. They usually have over-the-top stories, over-the-top characters, over-the-top dialogue, in the same way a B-movie have. I've actually talked about B-movies already. If you haven't watched it, I think it should be up here somewhere. But a B-movie relishes in its badness. It wants to be bad. A cool movie is a lot like a B-movie, but in a slightly better way. It does some things good. When in a B-movie, for example, the subject of my last video, Guns of Apocalypse, you see an action scene, it's not done right. You watch it because it's done bad. Well, in Mad Max, the action scenes are pretty cool. They work great, they have suspense, the character of Max is cool, but the story is shit. So yeah, all of that just to justify why would one go back and watch these movies? Well, they are cool. You feel cool watching them. You don't go to see them for the story. No. And you don't shut off your brain while watching them. It's an argument I've seen a lot for Transformers movies. You don't shut your brain off when you're watching Mad Max or Kung Fu Hustle. You know what is going on. You just don't care about the story. You care about the action scenes. So yeah, all of that just to get to the Boondock Saints. Boondock Saints is a creature of the 90s. I mean, there is no way around it. There is so much 1990s in this movie that it's just mind-boggling. I mean, the weird camera movement, the weird editing, the over-the-top stories, the Italian guys. It's so filled with 90s cheese that it's just great to watch it. It's like a time capsule. You realize back in the 1990s, this is how we used to do an action movie, people. Good or bad, I leave it to you. If you haven't watched it, which you should, I highly recommend it. It's a movie about two brothers who accidentally become vigilantes. Not accidentally, they hear a holy whisper in the night.
Whosoever sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed.
And I'm not making this up. And they have help from a very peculiar FBI agent. How do you take a movie seriously that has two characters in it, the McManus characters, they're Irish, if I haven't mentioned it, and one of them has justice tattooed on his hand, and the other one has truth tattooed on his hand in Latin? How do you take this movie seriously? I tell you how. By creating some of the most batshit crazy action scenes you could have think of. The movie is kind of self-aware, not in a good way. It knows that the action scenes it's trying to portray is very well cinematic, but it just says it's dumb luck. It's dumb luck that they fall from the floor and just did all the shooting in a movie way. And even the characters comment on how it doesn't happen in real life.
Little assault guys creeping through the vents, coming in through the ceiling. That James Bond shit never happens in real life. Professionals don't do that.
But the action scenes themselves are done very well. They're energetic, they're big, and you have this great storytelling device, in my opinion, that is Agent Paul Smecker. You have him come in and do this thing that Guy Ritchie used for Sherlock Holmes too, and tell you what happened. So you see the aftermath and you see how it got there.
They exited out the front door. They had no idea what they were in for.
It's a good storytelling technique, and the movie is just very good when it gets to those scenes. It's all the other scenes in the between that drag the movie down. The music is also very 90s, but in a good way, and it harmonizes well with the action scenes. It will get into spoiler territory, but it's a movie that came out in the 90s. It's well past its spoiler label, so there's this scene that it's not an action scene, but you don't want to miss it.
Joey Bevo sent me over as entertainment.
And it's a great segue also to my next point. The actors. The movie has Norman Reedus and the other guy. I only remember Norman Reedus because, he's Hideo Kojima's wet dream. It has Willem Dafoe, Billy Connolly, some dude doing a very stereotypical Italian accent, for some reason Ron Jeremy, and the funny man, which I remember the name, but right now I'm drawing a blank. He's a good character too. He does do a good job. I really like him. The main characters are Norman Reedus, the other guy, and the funny man. They're okay. They're wet blankets, blank states, whatever you want to call them, blank slates, not states. They're serviceable. You watch them, it go away. Aside from the funny man, who I kind of remember because of its freakish screams, I don't remember the other two brothers very well because they are not well-written characters. They're just, well, the video game first-person shooter characters. They just hold the guns, and that's how much character development we're gonna give to them. I want to talk about two people in particular. First, let's talk about Billy Connolly. I don't know if you know Billy Connolly or not, but to me, Billy Connolly, aside from being the perfect, and I mean the perfect choice for Montgomery, is not a threatening guy. He sounds threatening when he's doing his full Scottish.
I don't say you should sit up all night with the fucking thing, but give it a quick look through.
But he doesn't look threatening. He looks warm and cuddly and, well, he's a cuddly Connolly. I don't know why Troy Duffy, the director of Boondock Saints, realized I want to make a badass action hero out of him, but I'm not complaining. I mean, my God, he is fun to watch.
You people have been chosen to reveal our existence to the world.
The movie that can make Billy Connolly threatening, it's doing something right. His character is called Il Duce, the Duke. I don't know, you put a cigar on that mouth and give him two guns. It's like magic. And it's one of those things that until you see it, you can't imagine it. I mean, Billy Connolly as an action hero shooting guns, come on. You're gonna tell me next that Jeremy Irons plays an over-the-top dragon wizard.
Let the blood rain from the sky!
The other one, and the weirder one, is Willem Dafoe.
Too far.
I'm trying really hard to come up with a good enough allegory or analogy because Paul Smecker is not Willem Dafoe's best performance. Willem Dafoe is a great actor, very underappreciated, but a very great actor. He has done many good roles, but Paul Smecker just sticks out. It's not his best. He's over the top, he's doing his weird seduction. I don't know what that is.
Can they stay?
Well, we'll have to check with your mom. But it's okay with me if your friends sleep over.
But something oddly feels right. It's like the Willem Dafoe that we see in interviews and outside of the movie's universe is a fake Willem Dafoe, and the Willem Dafoe we're seeing in the movie is the real one. Let me explain. Do you know that actor Christopher Lee? He played the role of Count Dracula. Now, I don't think Count Dracula is his best performance. He has done better performances in The Wicker Man, definitely in Jinnah, in The Lord of the Rings, and even in the Hammer era, in Hound of the Baskervilles. He was an amazing actor, but watching him playing Dracula, it just felt right, like he was born to be Dracula. Dracula became Christopher Lee. It's not his best performance, but it's a performance that feels oddly appropriate. And that's how I feel about Willem Dafoe in Boondock Saints. He's just amazing. When I think about Willem Dafoe, I think about Boondock Saints. I don't think about The Lighthouse or The Shadow of the Vampire. Both very underappreciated movies. Watch both of them. I think Paul Smecker in drag. But let's go to the final chapter. Boondock Saints is not a good movie. The story doesn't make any sense, the characters are caricatures, the editing is horrendous, and I mean horrendous. I have a very outspoken disdain towards fade out and fade in, and whenever a movie uses it, it loses a couple of points for me. Looking at You, Dead Ringers, the most amazing movie David Cronenberg ever made, but has two fade out, fade in it. And for some reason, Boondock Saints just use it to the extreme. It's so disjointed, it just feels like a sloppily edited movie, except in the action scenes. I think they made the action scenes and then realized, well, we need to make a story around that. It is a fun movie, it is a cool movie. When you watch it, it just feels cool. You know, you're watching vigilantes gun down a bunch of people in very cool and creative ways. And the parsemaker scenes are kind of weirdly good written. I mean, it is movie logic. Nobody talks like that, but it just feels good. There is this scene where he's talking about how you can't shoot a guy like this because it has to be two guys.
The angles are too extreme. A guy holding two guns to the back of your noodle is going to shoot straight ahead. He won't cock out his elbows. Makes no sense.
I don't know why. Maybe it's Willem Dafoe. It's just feel interesting to watch him. The same way you feel interesting watching Daniel Craig in Knives Out. You know, just piece together this stuff. I think it's a souvenir influence from all the years of watching Poirot and Holmes, but it works, and when it works, I can knock it down. Overall, it's the cool movie phenomenon. You go and watch them, you probably won't admit them as loudly as I do. They may be called guilty pleasures, but I don't feel guilty after watching them. I just feel invigorated and kind of sad because a movie with a shitty story from 90s seems to have better action scenes than 80% of movies made right now. So yeah, if that worked, I hope. If this worked, I've looked at it, it's still recording. If this worked, knock on wood, and if that works, my computer, you'll see me again, preferably later today. Stay tuned for the next episode. See you.